Hi, my name is Bob Habersat. I'm a high school music technology teacher and author of Shed the Music's Production Through Performance curriculum that's hosted on MusicFirst. In the next 10 minutes, we're going to talk about the curriculum. We'll go through each unit and kind of give a little brief philosophy of why for everything. We'll talk about its focus on musicianship. And then we could talk about, how it can be used to help your remote learning situation, whether it's for an existing music production course or it's for a temporary augmentation or replacement for a traditional performing ensemble. And at the end, we're going to have a drawing. Now, there is a full 1-hour version of this presentation, and I'll link that in this presentation so that you can, really see what's going on. You can always email me at shedthemusic@gmail.com if you have any additional questions. But let's get into it. So this is the curriculum on MusicFirst. So there's 6 units here, but then we have this beginning unit called the teacher setup, and it gives things that are really important to help tailor this curriculum to your situation. There are 6 other units: time, drums, bass lines, chords, melody, and form, with a total of about 26 projects. And if students follow those projects, what they're designed to do is to build skills of time and subdivision and feeling groove, understanding drum parts, being able to write your own chord progressions, being able to write bass lines and chord parts and melodies that are linked to the chord parts that sound good, and then be able to take the phrases that you've been creating and make a full song. So let's talk about the first one. The first one is all about time. I want them to be able to play with a quality, steady beat, and then to be able to have good subdivision, 8th note, triplet, and 16th note, and have those subdivisions be even, so that when they go to record, it's not frustrating. So that first unit is all off the DAW. It's all video submissions. So there's a steady beat assessment, there's a subdivision assessment, and then they have to read beat map notation, because that's the kind of notation that we use for this course. So this is what beat map notation looks like. It shows, the subdivision, the beats, and then it shows where events occur. Last year I had a student who was like all-state flute player who took this course as a senior, and at the end I kind of wanted to know, I was like, okay, you took this like beginning course, did you get anything out of it? And she was like, my time and sense of like groove got so much better, and she noticed it in everything that she did. And it's these courses and really focusing on being able to play with the metronome that allowed her to do that. So that's the first unit, away from the DAW. And then in unit 2 through 6, we get into the DAW. And the DAW I use for this course is Soundtrap. In the first unit on the DAW, the drum unit, they learn how to play, grooves. So they learn how to play it on the typing keyboard. All the walkthrough videos for each project use the typing keyboard, but you can also use, the MIDI keyboard, but you can also use the typing keyboard. So if you're one-to-one with Chromebooks, you don't need a MIDI controller. And what I'm going to do in the next couple weeks is I'm going to make addendum videos that are tagged on to the end of each video that demonstrate how to play everything on the typing keyboard. So I can play like a drum groove on my MIDI keyboard here, but I can also play it on the typing keyboard. So they learn how to write their own drum grooves, they learn how to read drum grooves, they learn how to write drum fills, they learn how to transcribe drum grooves. So now I'm going to show you how to use the piano roll to assess time. So let me record just a quick 4-measure drum groove here. Okay, and let's click on our notes and look at the piano roll. And what I train students to do, what I train teachers to do, is to look at time. So we see this is supposed to be beat 4, but these attacks were after beat 4. So students are able to see like how well they did as soon as they go to play. They don't need to wait to get that kind of feedback. Let's talk about the next unit, which is bass. So let's look at one of these projects. Let's look at this one. Let's look at 3.4. I'll show you what's included on the student side and the teacher side. So this is a student walkthrough video that shows, with a 3-camera setup just like this, how to perform each project. And one of the cool things about these walkthrough videos is that they have chapters that show the different parts of the project. So if they forgot how to, write the bass line, they could just click here and it automatically goes to paste. writing the bass line. And each project in Unit 2 through 6 has a graphic organizer. So like this is a graphic organizer, and it allows students to write down their ideas before getting into the DAW. So they write their drum groove here, they're writing their chord progression here, giving the letter name and the quality of the chord, and then writing their bass line in with that beat map notation. And what that allows them to do is to not get distracted by all the cool things that are happening in the DAW, and then they can really focus on the composition part of it. And then there's a self-reflection sheet here. There's like a student-friendly rubric, and then there is a teacher rubric. Let's look at the teacher view. In the teacher view, there is just like a standard lesson plan here, and then there is a video lesson plan here where I talk about, you know, what the best practices of every project, what I've found that works the best, and then it gives some remediation and enrichment strategies too. So let me write a bass line. So for bass lines, they learn how to write their own bass lines that's linked to the kick drum. They learn how to write moving bass lines. They learn how to write chord progressions. And then we get to chords, which is Unit 4. So in the chord unit, you know, they do root position triads. They learn how to invert their triads for smooth voice leading. They learn about the different rolls, the rhythmic rolls, pads, punches, ostinatos, and licks. So let me just write a simple chord part. We'll use this Rhodes patch. 6, 3, 4, and 5. And we have melody. Now I teach melody kind of two ways. The majority of students won't be able to think melodically right away, and then they're going to write melodies that aren't melodious. So I teach melody writing using voice leading. So they stick to, you know, the shapes that they created when they inverted their chords for their chord units. So like I'm using these chord shapes that are really close together, and then I teach them how to use repetition, syncopation, and space to create a melodic rhythm, and then they use the voice leading with some non-chord tones to create melodies, and all the melodies sound good no matter what, which is awesome. I also teach how to hear melodies by ear, but that's more of an extension technique that you can use with, you know, the upper level students. So let's create a melody really quick, and I'm going to layer these two. Okay, here we go. 2, 3, and what we're left with is a 4-bar phrase. And everything that is done in this curriculum is in 4-bar phrases because most of the music we listen to is in 4-bar phrases. When we get to the form unit, it's all about, well, we'll do a transcription of a song. And that's all about writing 4-bar phrases and arranging them to create a pop song with that standard stock pop, like, you know, form that we're used to hearing: verse, chorus, pre-chorus, or bridge, double chorus, ending. They learn how to write that. If you can write $1 million sounding hit, then you can be creative. And I think it's a really good test as a composer to be able to write a pop tune like that. All right, it is giveaway time. So if you are interested in winning a pair of Shure Bluetooth in-ear monitors and an IK Multimedia iRig Keys mini MIDI keyboard, go to shedthemusic.com/giveaway. One word, no caps, no hyphens, giveaway. I know it's probably not the right grammatical way to do it. There'll be a Google form there. So you're going to put in your email, and then there'll be a secret password. Now the form isn't going to send unless the secret password is correct. And the secret password is yellow shirt. I'm wearing a yellow shirt, no caps, no spaces. Press submit, and you'll be entered to win these items, and I'll do the drawing probably on Friday. So I hope that your reopening plans are going smoothly. Good luck in the next coming weeks and at the beginning of your semester.
Hi folks, my name is Stephanie and I am a grade 7 through 12 music educator, and today I'm going to take you through one of the options for premium content in the MusicFirst Classroom and one of my personal favorites, Inside Music. Inside Music is a fun, comprehensive composition curriculum that combines video instruction with Noteflight Learn to create a flexible, accessible, and highly engaging learning experience. These lessons include listening examples, musical scores, and illustrations of important concepts. The Inside Music curriculum is split into 3 levels so that you can differentiate for your students. Now, we've been using the Inside Music curriculum for our students in grades 7 through 12 for a number of years, and we use it for our students across all 6 years that we have them, and we split up these lessons over those 6 years. So they're really learning over time, and we can differentiate for them so easily. They can choose lessons that are relevant to the piece that they're working on. They can use a different lesson from their peers. The students in our ensembles can all be looking at different lessons from each other, so we don't really feel stuck in our teaching, and our students don't feel stuck and stagnant in their learning. There's always another lesson to move towards. They're always moving forward in their learning. You can see here on this chart that I've broken them up into their 3 levels. So you can see some of the key concepts that are taught in these lessons. In the beginner level, some of the concepts are home tone, musical dialogue, rhythmic ideas. In the intermediate level, you have melodic contour, intervals, harmony and accompaniment. And at the advanced level, melodic inversion, texture, and counterpoint. In each level, there are 7 different lessons, which allow for so much diversity in their students' learning. Within each lesson is included a video, song examples, visual aids, a written transcript of the lesson, a glossary, and fully customizable Noteflight tasks. Now here on the screen, you'll see a screenshot of one of the beginner lessons, lesson number 2, where the students learn how to tell a story through the use of a motive. You'll see that each phrase is color-coded, which is pretty typical in these video lessons, and it allows for the students to really see how the motive is used and the same or different as it's used throughout the piece. Each Noteflight task includes 2 get ready exercises and 1 larger create task, plus reflections for each of those tasks. All of these can be shared within the Google Classroom. These task instructions are fully customizable in Noteflight and in the MusicFirst Classroom, so that you can really suit the needs of your students and your classroom. You can add, edit, or delete the prompts or entire tasks within the MusicFirst Classroom as necessary. So if you have a set of questions that you use for reflection, or if you need to address certain standards in your classroom, you can customize these tasks as necessary in order to really suit the needs of your students. Here's a great screenshot of, again, that same beginner 2 lesson, what it looks like as you open it up in Noteflight. Now let me just talk a little bit more about the difference between a get ready task and the create task. This is a get ready task for the beginner 2 lesson, telling a story through the use of a motive. The get ready tasks are 2 shorter, more like exercises. so that students get to practice using some of the skills addressed within the video lesson. Here, the students are composing using 3 different motives with a strong and simple idea, which was the idea behind the lesson that they were watching. These exercises, these 2 get ready tasks, are scaffolding these ideas so that your students are ready to work on the larger create task associated with this video lesson. These note flight tasks link directly to the lessons and to your MusicFirst teacher dashboard. So as soon as you open these tasks in your MusicFirst Classroom, all of your students' work is there ready to view. Each video lesson provides such an incredible learning resource for a flipped classroom model. As I've mentioned, we've been using Inside Music for years, but it's never been as important as it is now. My students can see and hear and read the information they need to know in order to understand these composition concepts. And NoteFlight offers in the cloud notation software that is shareable and really, really easy to use. They can share it with you, they share it with each other, they can mentor each other. It's really pretty incredible. And you can see from this screenshot of one of the video lessons that they offer these incredible visual aids and, like I mentioned before, these listening examples for the students. So it really covers a lot of ways to learn for our students. The written transcripts, which is something I mentioned before, are also incredibly important. So it's another way for our students to understand the concepts that are being covered in the video lesson. I've always shown them to my students, but I've never used them as much as I did this past year. These are written transcripts of every video lesson that are provided. This past year I had an exchange student and English was not easy for him, and he wound up using the written transcripts for his understanding of these composition lessons, and he would copy and paste the entire video transcript into his translator and read it, and then watch the video lesson with the class, and then read the translated lesson again. And he kept pace all year long with our composition lessons, and it was really incredible to see. And I worried for him at first that he was not going to understand our composition lessons, and he wound up really loving it. It was fantastic. There's so much more to learn about Inside Music, and that was just a tiny spotlight. But let me tell you, the flipped classroom model has never been as important as it is right now for our students and all of the remote learning that they're going to be doing this year. So please, please check it out, Inside Music. It's going to be fantastic for you and an incredible resource for your students. Thank you.
Hello, and welcome to the premium content overview for the complete method for modern guitarists by music educator Mike Durig. Just quickly, this premium content is $199 per year for unlimited students within the MusicFirst Classroom. The highlights are that there are 14 units with lesson plans and songs, and they progress from the absolute beginner student all the way up to about late intermediate. The method book progresses from very simple melodies and chords up through finger picking techniques and then more complicated seventh chords, both major and minor. Mike covers technique, theory, and repertoire, and the repertoire includes 10 pieces for guitar ensemble that Mike has written. The method book covers harmonization and arranging skills, basically really bolstering the musicianship and the guitar playing ability of your students. And the intent is that this curriculum or method book can be used by teachers who have never played guitar themselves, or if you happen to be a guitar player, there's probably some great tips and tricks in how to teach class guitar in the method book. And the coolest part, in my opinion, is that Mike has created 72 integrated practice first exercises so that you can check that your students are getting it, that they can play along. Practice First does polyphonic assessments so they can play their chords and it will tell them whether it's correct or not. Anyway, Mike is a fabulous guitarist himself, lifelong music educator, recently retired, and we're thrilled that he was able to put together this method book available exclusively in the MusicFirst Classroom. So I'm going to play you a video of Mike explaining his kind of rationale and how he created the curriculum and what the intent is. Just know that the video quality itself, there's some strange colors in there. We're aware of that, but I hope you'll get the gist anyway. So take it away, Mike.
Greetings, educators. Welcome to all who enter. Thank you, first of all, for considering putting a guitar class into your music programs. I'm Michael Durig, and I wrote this method. I started taking guitar lessons from a studio guitarist who retired from a major recording studio after a 20-year career. I saw him once a week for 2 years, and at the end of the 2 years, he looked at me and says, "You know everything you need to know." As luck would have it, the store needed a beginning guitar teacher, so I actually started my teaching career in 1974. In 1979, I graduated from Wright State University as a certified public school music teacher. 2 months later, however, I found myself honoring a contract as a union guitarist, playing for the show Hello Dolly, with Betty White as the feature. The following week, I was playing for the show Bubbling Brown Sugar with Cab Calloway as the feature. As it turned out, my guitar teacher was exactly right. It opened the door for my career. I am following in his footsteps, and I'm going to teach in the same manner. Whether making a living or just enjoying the guitar, my instruction is the same. It is then up to the students to decide what their path is going to be. Now, we are all wondering what this education model is going to be with the current pandemic protocols. We know time will be limited. The class time will be limited. Students won't be able to organize effectively at first, and technology will be a major factor. We want to attract students to our music program, and offering a guitar class does this while strengthening your other programs by reinforcing basic musical concepts. This method combines logical and sequential lessons in combination with the guitar's gateway attributes to introduce and reinforce basic concepts, resulting practical mastery of the material. Your students will use the knowledge in real time, comprehending and communicating more effectively, resulting in better, more productive rehearsals. Think of this method as a cross-training class for your other programs, while offering a dynamic and performing ensemble. My guitar method was written for the non-guitar playing music educator. Structured as a band or an orchestra method, the educator will find familiar methodology which leads students from basic skills and knowledge to playing as an ensemble, then to solo work as your students' knowledge base and skill set expand. Throughout the method, all 7 learning styles are utilized, making the information accessible to a wide variety of students. MusicFirst technology allow the students to self-assess, correct errors, then master playing exercises via a reliable and accurate software package. For specific guitar skills, I demonstrate on video which are linked to those lessons, and you can see them on my YouTube channel, Michael Durig. Students that excel can continue applying their knowledge to mandolin and electric bass guitar, which expands the ensemble sonic palette. In my experience, students become my best recruiters. My classes were always full. On my YouTube channel, Michael Durig, videos of my work as director of the Guitar Studies Director at Kickingham High School in Hampton, Virginia can be seen. We were invited to perform at the Virginia Music Educator Association's convention in 2011. And we presented several pieces. One of them, Jig, is actually included in the method for both instructional and performance purposes. Those students studied with me for the 2-year standard set by my teacher. In 2016, we played our last guitar festival at Christopher Newport University, where my students played my arrangement of movement number 1 from Mozart's Symphony number 40. The parts were handed out in January 2016, and we performed them the following March. As you watch the video of our last festival, the young ladies playing bass on the right-hand side of the stage is an example of the success I achieved so long ago. I was an adjunct professor at a local community college where musicals were presented yearly by the art division. The music director was having a terrible time finding a bass player for their production of Mano La Mancha that year. She played the show as good as any professional. The director had massive reservations at first, but later told me how impressed he was with her playing. Couldn't believe that she had only been playing 2 years. That young lady went on to study nursing. Now, with your subscription, I will be sending you 50 custom guitar picks to distribute among your students. I would give each student 2 picks and instructed them to have both of them at every class period. That way everybody has one. Additional picks can be sold should you require more for fundraising or even positive reinforcement. Those who develop a multi-year program have free access to my library of over 40 arrangements and transcriptions upon request. They include a wide variety of music from military marches, solo piano works, theme medleys from film, holiday pieces, and 1 or 2 rock-influenced pieces. If your program is faced with changing educational models, declining enrollment, or budgetary considerations, a popular, successful, and productive guitar class gains support quickly among students and parents alike and can mitigate the negative effects on your program. I look forward to serving you as we move forward as musicians and educators in an effort to make the world better through music. Have a good day.
Thanks very much for watching. Thanks, Mike Durig. And again, if you're interested, it's $199 a year, the complete method for the modern guitarist. Thanks very much for watching.
Hi, I'm Barbara Friedman, and this is my book, Teaching Music Through Composition, a Curriculum Using Technology, published by Oxford University Press. Thanks for being with me today. This book has 27 units of instruction with 67 lessons on teaching music concepts where students compose their own music using a variety of software you choose. It includes a companion website where you can download audio files, video, PDF, and other supplementary materials to use in your classroom. For grades 6 through 12, this book also has modifications, so it can be used in grades 4 and 5 and is also an outstanding resource for university methods classes in general music and technology. I'd like to give you a tour of the book and show you what's possible for you and your students. You can use the book right off the shelf or customize for your students. You can also access all the materials right inside of MusicFirst. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at the table of contents so you get an idea of the variety of lessons and projects that are available to you. There are 27 units of study and 68 lessons. You can mix and match them. You can use them in whatever order that you feel like you want to use them. Basically, the first part of this goes into the very basics of digital audio workstations like GarageBand, Sibelius, or notation software. Whatever software you want to use, you can use it with this book. It's not software specific. Generally, you get ideas about music content, understanding melodies, understanding some of the software, and you can work your way through a variety of different lessons and different projects that students can use. Again, it's not software specific. Music theory is covered. How to apply all of the music theory that you're learning with regard to melody writing and harmony and basic keyboard skills, and how to apply those in practical projects for creation. More advanced rhythms are covered, dictation is covered, melody writing drills, form and structure, projects like creating ringtones, chords, chord progressions, accompaniment patterns. How do you get counter melodies? How do you get a bass line out of chords and chord progressions? A whole bunch of stuff is covered in a variety of lessons. So if it's too much for your students, you don't have to use it. If it's there and you want to use it, you can use it. You can design this for a variety of different classes. There's a section on audio and audio editing. From the website, you can download a bunch of PDFs that you could use as overheads, and there's video that includes supplemental material about music theory at the piano. A variety of keys are covered. They include scales, arpeggios, chords, chord progressions, inversions, practically applied chord progressions, a variety of things that are actually covered in the lessons, and students can watch the video so that they can see how it's done at the piano keyboard. So each unit covers a particular topic, and each lesson goes into the details of that topic. So everything is chunked really nicely so they're manageable for students. Each one of the lessons has the lesson plan for the teacher, and it also has a student assignment sheet. Sometimes there are worksheets and other supplemental materials that can go along with the student assignment sheets for students. This is a teacher lesson here, and it includes some tips sometimes. It also gives you a link to the website and tells you that there are supplemental materials on the website that can be used. You can also see that it shows you some of the national standards, and these are from the old national standards, objectives for the students, materials, and a step-by-step procedure of what the teacher might need to do in the classroom. Some visuals here. Of course, extensions are also provided, but another thing that's really interesting is that I've included modifications. Every lesson has a modification, something that you could do with students who may not be able up to the task that you need to do, or some way to modify the lessons for some of your students. We don't often see modifications in lessons, and I like to put them in there. They're there for every single lesson. So I know some teachers in elementary school who say this is a great book to use with kids in 4th and 5th grade even, because what you could do is you could do the lessons and use the modifications. Great, go for it. Let's take a look at a student assignment sheet. The sheets give the students almost everything they need to know about doing the assignment. Gives them some background material, gives them the actual assignment, and a step-by-step procedure of how to do the assignment. They can be doing this assignment in digital audio workstations like Soundtrap, Soundation, GarageBand, BandLab, anything. or they could use notation software. It's completely up to the teacher to decide. You can also, if you wanted to, customize these sheets for you and for your students. You don't have to use exactly what's on this page, but there's a lot of material here that you might find helpful. I am really happy and proud that my book and the materials are available to you in MusicFirst. If you have a MusicFirst account, this is available through the premium resources, and you can just add this to your course, and the lessons are right there. This is the 3 sections: Introduction to Music Composition, Developing Basic Music Skills, and Putting It Together, just as we had in the book. So let's take a look at Introduction to Music Composition and see what we have. Here are the lessons, just as they are in the book, and the student assignment sheets, and you can choose what you like and add it to a task. It's already set up for you to use in Soundation if you want to attach that and use it in Soundation for education, as available to you in MusicFirst, or you could use it with any digital audio workstation that you like. Let's take a look at the lesson itself. So you've seen this lesson in the book. Here's the drum beat lesson, and this is what it looks like in MusicFirst. And you can get the same exact materials right here in MusicFirst, and these are the teacher materials. And then in MusicFirst, you go up to the tab, and you can see the teacher view and the student view, and just see exactly what you need for your students. Oh, and you get some video too. Look at that. All this video that is put in here for you, and some supplemental lessons so you can teach right here and assign to students in MusicFirst. Thanks so much for taking the time to look at my book. If you would like more information, please visit musicedtech.com. More information about my book, Teaching Music Through Composition, can be found on my website, musicedtech.com. You can get a little bit more background information about what the book is about, and also find some reviews, as well as some links where you can purchase the book if you'd like to purchase and buy it through Amazon by clicking on the links.
Hi, I'm Dale Duncan, and I am the creator of S-Cube's sight singing program for beginners. When I first started teaching middle school, I remember one day specifically during the first year when I asked my students to get out the sight singing books, and I heard a collective moan of dread. And when I heard that, I thought to myself, I've got to figure this out. I've got to figure out what I'm going to do to make the process of learning to sight sing for my beginners more enjoyable, more fun, more engaging. And so over the next several years, as I failed many times and then I figured it out, I basically filled my toolbox full of tools that could help my beginners figure out how to sight sing. And once I felt like that toolbox was full enough, I decided to share that information with teachers online. So about 6 years ago, I created the S-Cube Sight Singing Program for Beginners, and it is a systematic step-by-step process that's part philosophy and part method. We want to have fun with the kids when we're teaching them. We want to engage them in the process so that it doesn't really feel like learning to them. It's just something they enjoy doing. And each time that they succeed, we celebrate that success. We insert competition, fun competition between the different classes, the different students, in a way that makes this such a great system for them to enjoy the process of learning. And by the end of level 1, the students are able to sight sing examples with skips as wide as an octave in 2 parts, a cappella, with syncopated rhythms. we build each step, one step at a time. I'm a gymnast from my background, so we never progress to the next step until we've mastered the previous step. And that's how S Cubed is set up as well. So I've been using it for years. Teachers around the world have been using it now for years. And about a year after I created it, I decided I needed some supplemental exercises for assessment and practice. So I created a one-to-one relationship between each exercise that is in S Cubed with a practice example. So starting in lesson 4 of S Cubed, we actually begin to sight sing because you built the foundation. And on lesson 4, they have their first day. So maybe it's lesson 4, day 1. And so my original intent was for those students to go home that night and pick up the practice example and to practice it and to get a grade on it with a program like MusicFirst. And so right now, as we face the possibility of virtual learning and all the things that are ahead and the uncertainties, I believe that programs like MusicFirst and Practice First are critical for us to hold the kids accountable, to assess them and to listen to them when they sing one-on-one. This program affords that opportunity. So with Marge, we're going to take a look inside of some of the things that you will find if you decide to use S Cubed with MusicFirst and Practice First.
Hi everyone, I'm Marge Lopresti. I'm the Digital Content Manager for MusicFirst. We took Dale's program and put it online into the MusicFirst Classroom. And as Dale said, when you get to lesson 4, there are activities for students to do. Right now, we're looking at the teacher view. The student view has an exercise for the students to look at, and it'll launch in Practice First. But it's super important to know that in the teacher view, you're going to find objectives and materials just like you would put in a regular lesson plan. And what's so cool is that Dale created these teacher-to-teacher videos that are linked right here, and those will pop open in another window if you need some guidance on how to use the program. Very clear teacher procedures as well. And if you want to or need to, you can go in and edit the lesson. This is crazy. This is a function of the MusicFirst Classroom. So if your supervisor needs you to add any additional information here, extensions or modifications for special learners, or if you need to add standards, all of that is right there for you with the flexibility of the MusicFirst Classroom. So right now I'm looking at the student overview, and I'm going to go to lesson 16, example number 2. I know that I'm in student view, by the way, because there's this black bar across the top. The teacher view has an aqua bar. So students only see the student-facing example. We've got some music notation and some verbal examples. The magic happens when we click on this Open and Practice First button. So by default, it brings up the first staff in the system. However, there are 3 available here, and we've put the student voice parts in gender neutral terms. Students may not know if they're a baritone or a tenor, but they certainly know which clef they read, and they know if their voice is higher or lower. So let me go back and pretend I'm a student singing the higher voice treble clef example. When I press this record button, it's going to give me a starting pitch and a count in, and you're allowed to laugh at me singing out of tune. Do, 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 mi, mi, so, 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 mi, mi, so, mi, so, mi, so, so, mi, do, mi, so, mi, do. So that 100% that came up is because I completed the entire exercise. It automatically gave me a pitch score and a rhythm score. Let me close this window so you can see the kind of feedback that students have. So my pitch wasn't terrible. It's mostly green. However, here, I cheated on the rhythm a little bit, probably because of breath support. And not so hot on the intonation here. On purpose, I went flat on the last pitch so you can see the kinds of feedback that students get. When the note is super wrong, this line turns very red. Pushing upward also means speeding up. When the line goes downward, it's also slowing down. So you're getting pitch and rhythm feedback all wrapped in together. When I submit this to the teacher, that window automatically closes. It's submitted. Now let me toggle back to teacher view. The student submitted lesson 16, example 2. When we click on it, it brings back that same feedback, and the teacher can listen to the student's performance. And you don't need to hear that again.
So as you can see, the type of feedback that students receive when they use something like Practice First is going to be tremendously helpful in the environment we're facing now. And even once this is over and far beyond, the technology is going to be so useful. And I hope that people will find it and use it and keep helping their students learn all these wonderful specific things that Music First and Practice First are able to show them about sharp and flat singing, rhythm, everything that we want them to learn about choral music singing, especially at this moment in time when we can't sing in groups in many situations around the country and around the world. Hoping that you find S Cubed useful and Practice First even more so. Thank you.